Folks, my name is J.C. Playford. I've worked in the media here in San Diego for several years, and after this amount of time, I've come to realize one thing. We have one of the most
I don't know how, I can't really tell what that is. Might you maybe explain, and I don't know how effective this is going to be.
Just describe it, JC, and then we'll give it to him later.
These type of scenes play out every day in San Diego. Okay? What I'm talking about is the First Amendment. I'm talking about media relations. I'm talking about cameras being taken away from them and then being charged with 148 for just standing on street corners in San Diego County. I'm talking about cops not in uniform walking up to cameramen and physically attacking them, like this one does right here, just a couple months ago. That last video was just last week. All he was done was ask the policy and it was threatened with arrest. This man is not only pushing me, he's not wearing a badge, he's not wearing a gun, and he's not wearing a name tag. He's not allowed to touch me, he's not allowed to interfere with me. What is he doing? What is this man doing in my face and my camera? These are crimes against the media, they're crimes against me, and if this keeps up, when my kids have grandchildren, when I have grandchildren, I won't be able to film them playing in my own backyard. When police officers feel it's okay for them to just shut down any camera they want, there is a problem. I've got about 200 of these videos, and I've now contacted human rights abuses, because here in San Diego, I get stripped naked. They take my cameras and they throw them on the ground, and they break them and destroy them, if they can't figure out how to delete my videos. They tell me I will stay in handcuffs until they figure out how to get rid of my videos. Not only is this First Amendment issues, but these are human rights. The President of the United States and Hillary Rodham Clinton every week get on the news and condemn what other countries are doing to journalists. Well, they have no room to talk because it's happening in your town, and it's got to stop. When I have the sheriff himself walking up to me on Balboa and Genesee, shoving me and pushing me and telling me to shut up, he's got no legal right. I filed a formal complaint, and SDPD Assistant Chief Boyd Long has kept this formal complaint out of my hands. He has refused to allow me to have my records. He has told me it's none of my business, and that under no circumstances, that 5 seconds caused Bill Gore a liar to state investigators. Everything he did in that 5 seconds violates the law, and he lied if he ever did any of it in his report. So why do I not have a copy of my victims' rights reports? Because we play this tin blue shield here in San Diego. It's got to stop. Pushing cameramen, shoving cameramen. He didn't even know the law. As the rest of that video plays out, you can really hear his aide in the background going, "Sheriff, Sheriff, you can't do that." And he goes, "I can't." He didn't even know the law on election day. That is a problem. When I can walk down these streets and have cops tell me, turn my camera off, or I will revoke your SDPD press credentials. That is a government entity controlling the local media. And that is strictly forbidden under the Constitution of the United States. And no sooner did those SWAT team members get off of me while I was filming, they turned around to the civilian population, attacked the civilian population, grabbed one of their cameras and threw it at the civilian population. I retrieved that camera and I took it to Gary Hansen. Nothing's been done. I still have these people's names. I still have their phone numbers. I'm still in contact. This stuff's got to stop. This is going to upset the entire country. This cops attacking cameramen has got to stop. And SDPD press credentials legally should not exist. 2 courts in San Diego have already said, what is SDPD even doing issuing them when the state itself, California Highway Patrol, has said, we can't do it. So who is SDPD to do it? And that's on their website. It's against the law for them to issue press-related cards. The district attorney leaves it You must have SDPD press credentials to enter this room, but yet I sat there and filmed a guy walking into that room who was a reporter who on tape, I went, "Do you have SDPD press credentials?" He goes, "No." So they are using it as a weapon to control journalism. And it's now, or I am now asking for arrest of Bill Gore, and I am asking for you to stop SDPD press credentials right now in violation of the Constitution of the United States.
Andrew Fisher, and next will be Stephanie Jennings.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fisher. I would just like to say that I've been on the streets for 8 years, and I feel that the San Diego Police Department is using fear to kind of strike fear in the homes. Since I've been with this Occupy movement, I can look on the force and I can see about 8 cops that I know from the streets. I can let you know right now that I am scared for my life to walk down the streets alone. I'm scared that I'm going to get detained, that I'm going to get taken away, that I'm going to get put in cuffs, either put in cuffs, put in the back of a car, get maced, get the crap kicked out of me with handcuffs on my back, with my hands tied behind my back. I'm also, I fear for some of the psychological issues that I feel that some of the citizens will have after this movement. Sometimes at night, I hear screams of my friends from the till the 23rd grade when the sheriff department came in at 2:30 in the morning and attacked all of us and arrested 51 people. I fear for the ethnicity. I feel that some of these cops are just blatantly racist, and that they need to be looked at, and they need to, some of them need to get a psych eval because they're really rude and they're not very nice people. Again, I fear for my life when I walk down the streets. I fear that I have to look behind my back all the time, and that I feel that something needs to be done about that. And, I'm kind of nervous right now. But anyways, have a good night.
Next will be Mitchell Sterling.
Good evening. I'm Stephanie Jennings, and I have to say that listening to folks speak tonight is really more chilling than I even realized it was going to be, even after my personal experience. I want to thank you for holding this public forum, and I want to tell you that I'm a citizen who has been engaged in the future of our country and the direction of our country my whole adult life. And I am here to tell you that I have a great amount of concerns for our city and the direction that it is taking. I am one of the 100 plus arrestees at the Civic Center since the Occupy Wall Street movement began. My story is the same and yet also different from my fellow arrestees. It's different because I'm a 51-year-old woman and not a young person who's likely homeless, which is the most frequent victim of the San Diego police. And it's different because I was not defending a tent or sitting in a chair. But it's the same because I, like many of my fellow arrestees, was injured during my arrest. It's the same because I was falsely accused. It's the same because I believe I was targeted for my political activities, for daring to speak the truth about the corruption of this system and the 1% overlords who control it. And I want the Citizens Review Board to consider the hypocrisy of a city that would charge 4 activists with felony conspiracy to interrupt a public meeting only days after having interrupted our public meeting and arresting 3 young men at our General Assembly. All of these cases are documented and on video, and I will happily provide you with the link to this and many other arrests. As to my specific case, I have footage that when shown, will show you that the sergeant who was arresting me was wrong, that he engaged in police brutality, and I did incur an injury, and I was wrongfully arrested. The second woman that he arrested in a very abusive manner that evening was shown also on videotape and needs no explanation. And I just want you to know that I'm one of the founders of a group called Middle Class Middle-Aged Women of Occupy San Diego. We changed our name to just Women of Occupy San Diego because of our brothers and sisters who aren't necessarily as fortunate as I am. But I believe in what we're doing, I believe in what we're saying, and the fact is that I'm not here because of just my arrest, but I'm here to speak to a clear pattern by the San Diego Police Department to crush our civil rights, and specifically our free speech rights. These arrests are not happening by chance, but are a part of an orchestrated campaign to silence us. The sergeant who arrested me brutally was the thug of the night, but he took his orders from someone. The sergeant should be held accountable for what he did, and believe me, I will follow up and make sure that he is.
Excuse me, then. If you are going to be filing a complaint against a specific officer, you cannot discuss the details.
I didn't say anything about what he did to me, I just said that I was brutally arrested.
I just want to make
I'm not
sure.
going to say anything else.
And you got 1 minute.
Okay. But I would like to also see that his superiors are held accountable as well. And we need to know if the mayor and the city attorney are calling the shots. We rely on the Citizens Review Board to use powers that we do not have to get to the bottom of this and the other arrests at the Civic Center. So we are asking the Citizens Review Board to find out answers to the following questions and to take the following actions. 1, who is giving the police the orders to deny us our civil rights, specifically our free speech rights? Number 2, why can we overhear police officers on video saying they're sick of arresting people and are supposed to be charging people with certain arrests and charges? Number 3, who in the city will view the dozens of arrest tapes that are recorded, and how will they respond? And finally, we ask that you put these questions and other requests of these Occupy activists on your docket as an agenda item for the next public meeting. We respectfully ask that you do your duty and analyze these violations. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel Sterling, and next will be Jason Snyder.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to us this evening. Born and raised in San Diego, received my degree from the University of California at San Diego, and have been to many public meetings, city council meetings, committee meetings, and I appreciate the job all of you are doing here today. You don't need to take our word for what we're saying here. All the testimony you're hearing is valid. It's all truthful. You need to ask yourself, when's the last time this many citizens came with complaints about the department like this? And if you don't, or you have issues with people's credibility, look it up on YouTube. Most of the incidents which we've spoken to are all on videotape, from beginning to end. Look them up on YouTube. Come to our website. They're all available to review. Occupy is a movement for economic justice and social reform. It has nothing to do with police encounterment, fighting the police, involving ourselves with police activity. It's the furthest thing we want to be doing, much less spending time in meetings like this tonight. And yet, in less than 3 months' time, over 200 people in San Diego have been arrested, handcuffed, jailed, detained, and cited by San Diego police officers. for doing usually nothing more than exercising their First Amendment rights in public venues. We are not committing arson. We are not taking over buildings. We are not sitting in and holding anybody hostage. But to look at the actions of this police department when they use billy clubs, mace, chokeholds, throw someone out of their wheelchair to the ground, stomp on them, arrest them, keep them in vans handcuffed for over 9 hours without allowing them to use bathrooms, you'd think these were hardened criminals being dealt with. It is disgusting. The selective enforcement in violation of the 14th Amendment of due process is going on each and every day at the Civic Center Plaza and the blocks surrounding it by this police department. And nobody is stopping them. Not the city council, not the mayor's office, and not those in charge of the police department. The mayor complains about over $2.4 million in costs, none of which needed to be spent. This is a peaceful movement. This is about people fighting against corporate oligarchy, crimes committed on Wall Street, bankers that don't give a damn about people, throwing them out of their houses, foreclosing on them illegally, not enough jobs, education not being provided, homeless not being taken care of. And yet all this money and time and energy is being spent by the police department and those that order them into doing it. 90% of all those cases were never filed in court. No actions brought by the city attorney and no trials. There's one reason and only one reason this is happening, and it's to chill free speech. Why should we have to now get the city to spend more money? Why should we have to bring civil actions and cost the city taxpayers more money? Bring a pitches motion against the city to show the collusion between the different departments to violate our civil rights. It can all be stopped by good citizens standing up and doing something about it. Your board, if it at all has the power to direct the police department to enforce the laws in the book, stop the selective enforcement, allow people their First Amendment rights, all of this can be ended. Occupy's not going anywhere. It's getting larger and bigger. And yet there's been no more brutality, save maybe Oakland, than has been committed by this department against the citizens of the city. It's time it came to an end. Do everything within your power to get to the bottom of why this is happening and order the police department to stop it. Thank you very much.
Sorry?
You said Jason Stern?
Yeah.
All right. I'm coming before you because I've been doing journaling what's going on with Occupy, and so what happened one of the times I went down there is the police approached me because I brought my media equipment down there. And I should have a right to have my media equipment on me. And the police officer said, no, you can't. I told him, I'm doing journalism here. He didn't believe me. He cited me. He threatened to take my equipment away. And then after he wrote the citation, they chased me out of the plaza. The police followed a group behind me as I left, like they're going to arrest me. And this is wrong. We have a right in this country by the Bill of Rights to do journalism. And I was being denied that right that day. This is wrong. What the police department did is wrong. This needs to be addressed. It's not what our police department is supposed to be for. The police department is supposed to be there to serve and protect people like me, not to chase me around and make me feel like I have to find a group of people to hide from the police because the police are out to get me. Like, the mentality the police are out to get me is wrong. That's not why I pay my taxes. I thought I pay my taxes so I can have protection by the police, not to be attacked by them. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Great. Then next will be Ron. I'm sorry. This Dismuya. Dismuia.
Well, my name is Ray Lutz. I am a East County native. I ran for U.S. Congress in the last election. I did go to San Diego State University. I have a master's degree in electronics engineering. I have my own business. My wife runs hers. I'm going to start with 2 requests to make sure I get them in. Mainly, let me first build a little bit of background. If you get arrested and they do not file charges, something is wrong. Of the people arrested in the plaza, 80% of them have never had any charges filed. So if you're getting arrested with no charges filed, then they hold them for up to a year. Something is wrong if there's an arrest being made over and over and over again with no charges being filed. That means they had no reason to arrest you to begin with. They put you in jail. My request is this. Go back and find out all the people that have been arrested and find out why they have not filed any charges. I want to get a list of everybody that has been arrested or cited or detained and look at everybody that has not been had their day in court. Take me to court. Tell me what's wrong. I want to see the judge. They won't even file charges and they hold them for a year to scare them. Let's say that you violate this encroachment law. Let's say you build a dumpster bay in the alley. You construct a big permanent dumpster bay in the alley. What is the city going to do to you? Probably you'll get a letter that says, please remove the dumpster bay in our alley. You have 30 days. If you don't do it, we'll do it and we'll charge you. Will they come and arrest you? Will they arrest you for that? If you set something down out here on the sidewalk, do you expect to be arrested and put into jail for building? No, this doesn't happen. It does not happen. Now, what happened to me shouldn't happen either. I was registering voters at the city square. What is more sacred than this in our democracy? You can't do it in San Diego. You'll get arrested like I was and thrown into jail for registering voters. That's wrong. Well, in the city area, you can't even put up a table. Now, you can force your way into any mall because of the Pruneyard case. Supreme Court decision, Pruneyard versus Robbins. You can go in and register voters in any mall. You can go into Horton Plaza and say, I demand to have a table. They have to give you one and let you into their mall. And they will. They'll let you register voters in your mall. Or pass out anything you want. Get signatures. That's all right under the First Amendment. Now, I don't know if you guys take it. Everybody who runs for office has to take an oath. I will support the Constitution and defend it. I used to wonder what that, what that meant. What does it mean? Does it mean that it's on the table and you make sure it doesn't burn? No, it means that when people's First Amendment rights are threatened, you should stand up for them. This city does not. Now, in the public portion of the plaza, you can't set up a table. So where I set up my table was in the private property area, where you have more rights than in the public area. I heard one officer say you can't set down that tent anywhere. In fact, you can't even bring it in, holding it up over the ground. A tent is for symbolic. You can't hold it up over the ground. Why not, officer? I'll make it up. And we'll arrest you and put you in jail for it. That's what they do. They make it up and they will arrest you and put you in jail, and it doesn't matter because you know what? They're not going to file charges anyway. What rights do we have? I'd like to know. The question's on the table. What do citizens do when they're arrested over and over and over again and charges are not filed? Question to this body. I want to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ron Sequoia. And next will be Amir Ali Shah.
Oh, my name is Ron Sequoia. I have a difficult last name because my family are Flemish. Now you've heard it, and I've witnessed it with my eyes, and I've been down there since October. I want to say how important it is in some ways how if we don't necessarily abuse various rules of law. I know this on a professional level because I, one time, was about to cite the painter Norman Rockwell from Washington's painting brush. I used to be a national park ranger at Grand Teton National Park. And I thought Norman was washing his brush in Taggart Creek, and I wanted to cite him. And I had the right to cite him, but I had to clarify exactly what he was up to. And this is a clear example, I think, of how that sometimes I think the law enforcement sometimes oversteps their bounds, perhaps. If there's any way that you can sit down with them and let them know that all Occupy want is to have their voice returned to them. Give them their voice. The reason why I think it's important that they have a voice is that, and I think Professor Jeffries at Princeton Divinity School, because when I was back there in seminary many years ago, I told him about my father didn't know how to read English. As I said, we were Flemish. And my father, in the small town after we came over here to America, he wanted me to deliver paper in an all-black neighborhood in Clarksdale, Mississippi. You can fact check that. In 1954, they did not allow blacks to read the paper. And my father, because he learned how to read English by me reading cartoons to him, my father wanted so much for the blacks to have the right, not only to have a voice, but have the ability to understand what they were reading. And so in 1954, my father asked the paper owner if it's okay for me to do that on 4th Street on all black neighborhoods. So I was able to do that. I was able to go and read the paper at a radio station there in Clarkston, Mississippi. And I saw the effect of what it was for them to understand and to learn the language and to be able to see what the freedom is. And I've said this to Tony, City Councilman. I'm very much aware of what I know the cost of freedom is as far as curing our freedom as Americans. I'm very much aware of that. What I simply ask of you is that these are extremely important issues because now the internet, I think that if we look into this, we will see that Occupy are doing us a favor. I have never been more informed than I have since October. I go down there almost daily, and I learn more about what's happening to our country. What Occupy is doing is we're trying to regain what we've lost. And that's simply what I think that it is that we need to do, is to recognize these are very bright, very intuitive young people. I've learned a lot from them. They're a member of my family now. When I watch these arrests, I cry. I see that it's just overstretching the bounds of the law. I don't think it's necessary. These are like my family, they're like my children. And as Ray has already said, they weren't in trouble until they came to the Civic Center. My wife and I live there. We live over at Luther Towers, just a stone's throw from Civic Center. And I just wanted to ask you if there's a way that you could sit down and reason, if it's possible, with some of these law enforcement people to have us to maintain this voice, give us our voice back so we can go ahead and educate the public as to what is happening to this country. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Amir and then William Gagan.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amir Shuja. I'm from Iran. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I go down to Occupy because I believe it's human right to criticize government policy. The reason I'm not a U.S. citizen, it doesn't make any difference if you are a U.S. citizen or not. When you make a political statement against power, regardless of where you are going to have the government, the elite, send down their goons, whether they're dressed in uniforms or in Basij militias, just like in Iran, and they're going to try to stop you. We've been threatened with arrest for holding teachings in public areas, educating people on economic issues, on the grievances, and on the problems the society and the world has. The San Diego Police Department has become an icon for every other police department in the country in direction of like how to repress this movement. This movement is not a Bolshevik revolution. This movement is a peaceful revolution. People are coming, discussing their ideas. I'm a graduate student of political science in San Diego State University. I'm not home, but I care about what's going to happen in this country, in my country, because we are living in one planet. I was arrested on the second raid, which was October, in the late October, and basically the day after that raid, there was a meeting on public transportation planning for City of San Diego, the Sandler meeting for the San Diego County. We had plans to send a lot of people down there to present an alternative plan to either Filner or Sanders. I just put it out. So after that raid, we were prevented from bringing up that environmentally friendly plan to the public, to the avenue, which is supposed to be open to the public. After those initial big raids, the San Diego Police Department has adopted a policy of harassment. They're basically walking up to people, asking them what are they doing. They're walking up to the people, telling them pick up your bag, walking up to the people, telling them that they have no business being here, they should leave. This is intimidation. We have police officers 2 o'clock in the morning when most of you are asleep, waking up homeless people, kicking them, and telling them you need to move away from this area. I don't care where you go away from civic centers. They're trying to intimidate every person that has grievances into shutting their mouth. And I have to say this, I am cynical about government boards, government institutions, and I hope I gave some reason why. And I want to invite you as citizens to come down there, see for yourself, see what we're doing, see what we talk about, see if there is anything wrong with it. We had the Lansdale come down there on the first week, tell us this needs to go, it's a big headache for me. And we're telling him based on what law? And he refused to drive any law. I recorded that video. I'm willing to put it up and you guys can see it. It's not about the person that wears the uniform, it's about what the uniforms enable you to do. And harassment, political repression should not be allowed anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Mitchell Stratton.
So, my name is Lloyd Gagan. I was actually a college student when this movement actually hit the nation. I dropped out of school to join it. I felt that what's happened here in this country is just a shame. It's ridiculous. My mom lost her house and her business this last year. So for me, it was a no-brainer. What was I working towards if I'm going to go out into a workforce that doesn't have jobs? I'm usually on the other side of the protest. I'm behind a computer or behind a camera. never spoken to city council. I don't get out and yell at the police. I hardly ever talk to them unless I'm telling them they're being filmed. But what I've seen out here on the streets of San Diego, down at the Civic Center Plaza and whatnot, is a shame. It's ridiculous. We have taken it to a federal courthouse even. We had an attorney, Brian Peace, try to file an injunction, and nothing has happened. We're here today pleading with you, asking for somebody to do something. We've tried to speak to the mayor, the chief. I mean, I just went to DC. I tried to speak with my congresswoman about this. It is ridiculous. Somebody has to stop it, and hopefully you can do something about it. The number of arrests that have been made here in this city from this movement and the number of charges that are actually being brought into court should say the fact right there. When it's only 10% of the charges are actually being filed in court, I mean, that's not evidence right there. I don't even need to show you a YouTube video. You don't need to watch any of my videos, you need the streams. That number right there should do it. I am pissed off, and I'm not stopping.
And Sharon Bears next.
Hello, he said my name is Mitchell Grant. I don't really get involved in a whole lot of activist things. I wasn't really raised like that. My dad's a chief in the Navy, and my mom's family worked in coal mines in Kentucky. So, you know, they're kind of like, you know, quiet, and they don't really do a whole lot of things. But a friend of mine invited me to go down to Occupy, and so I went down. This was early on. This was for the first day there. The first day we actually moved down to Civic Center, and it was really cool. Like I got involved in we were setting up food tables, and we were feeding the homeless, and we started to organize doing the teach-ins. So different people who had knowledge in specific subjects, we talked to other people about them, and it was a really neat environment. I got to feel like I was a part of, and then about, I think it was 2 or 3 days after that was when the state started, like the police started coming in and deciding that we didn't have that ability. I remember on the big raid, the first thing they went after was the food tent, and a lot of people there who I worked with as a food volunteer felt that we were specifically being targeted because we were providing a social service that the city failed to provide. And we were doing it without any funding. I mean, we were, a bunch of people who decided, hey, I have, a couple extra cans of kidney beans in my house. Maybe, these people need a little more. So when to watch that, for me not being really involved in a whole lot of things, to watch police suddenly being ordered to invade that space and invade it to the extent that we weren't able to provide those basic services. We felt that everyone should have access to. Eating is a pretty basic need, I think. That really, got me, well, one, it got me more involved, but mostly because it was so egregious to me. Like, I didn't understand why really that providing, blankets and food was such a big deal that the state needed us for, making people warmer at night. I couldn't really wrap my head around that. But basically, that didn't stop, as you know. I stuck around after they tore it all down, and I stuck around for months, and then I was arrested. I had my cell phone, and I was phoning them about to deploy Mason on a homeless person if they had tackled and handcuffed, and then I was tackled and handcuffed. And I know that earlier they said that you can't give details about the arrest if you want to file a complaint, but I can't file a complaint because the person that actually was on my that signed off on my I don't know what the official terminology is, but when you're arrested you get that little piece of paper. Yeah. Isn't the same person that tackled me, and I know this because I saw that person, and the 3 people that tackled me are on video as doing it, and I don't know who these people are. They just, decided that I wasn't able to film them, and
I was tackled to the ground, and the person that is on my report is a different person entirely than is on those videos. So I have no means of recourse, really, against, in this kind of situation. So I came down here along with a number of other people because we do feel that this sort of action is egregious, and there's nothing that we individually can do about it. But, maybe there's, a group here or there that actually does have some ability to enforce, some sort of policy or some sort of rule of law against the people who are supposed to be enforcing rule of law. So basically, I implore you, I plead that if you guys do have something in that position of power to utilize that so that this sort of display of thuggish brutality doesn't occur again. Thank you.
Thank you. And last will be David Beck-Brown.
Hi, my name is Sharon Bear. Wow, it's been a lonely 3 years. I'm not nothing to do with the Occupy movement, but it's so nice to see people here. I love what? Yeah. Again, however, in December I was told the meeting was going to be at Putnam Library, but Noel told me it had been moved, so we're here. I was a little bit scattered when I got here. Apparently, the meeting notice for the Brown Act was posted 10 days prior, so it's legit. But I'm a little frustrated because I did plan to go to Point Loma. Okay, today, our first time began on June 4th, 2009, when David was falsely arrested. And I was got I'm in the racial club. Yeah, I'm a teacher of the deaf, lost my job, lost my house. Direct quote from the Intellectuals, how far are you willing to go? Today, this morning, I started my first law class at USD. And I learned that apparently the CRB is supposed to be an alternative dispute resolution as a way to resolve a dispute that doesn't require going to court. And it's supposed to be, we are supposed to be entitled to justice with a speedy decision. And the problem is we try to balance that with speed with issues economy. So I'm just one voice, I'm just one material witness who was a little concerned about how my friend was treated and how I'd explained to my kids that I was handcuffed 2 weeks before my son's wedding. It's embarrassing. But I can't not do anything about it. So I'm just one complaint. I don't even know where I believe it's being reviewed, but it'll be 2 years since we filed a complaint in March, and going on 3 years since the incident was. Is that speedy? I don't think so. Anyway, I'm on your side. That's how you talk in sign language. Yeah.
Hi, my name is David Beck-Brown. I've worked with law enforcement all of my life with the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the San Diego County Jail, and the CDCNR, and with the Federal Protection Program. I've worked with some really bad people. I do not have a criminal record. But at age 62, I was looking at 2 vicious and violent strikes because of a lie that someone called 911. Any inmate can have a 3rd strike. So you're talking about a life in prison. And I am upset about it. This happened on June 4, 2009, and Internal Affairs has been sitting on this ever since. Hopefully, at last, it's coming to fruition. We've gone through the legal process, and the longer it takes, the longer a criminal hides something, which means law enforcement, the more stress it's going to create, and the more monetary ramification is going to take case. Okay? Hopefully this is going to come to fruition. Well, June 4, 2009 to this date, we've been working on this. We're not going away. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as
public comment. It's past our meeting time date. What we're going to do is trail we're going to trail the remainder of the, yeah, I apologize to our speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay, but Stu made me promise not to keep it.
Okay, that's great. So we'll trail this to the next open meeting. Our next meeting will be, yeah, the next open meeting is February 24th. And we're here one more time. Right now.